He might live the long way by, but that's not for me to say. The next song is Magic Pie. Magic Pie is a bit of a divisive one. That it's on the Be Here Now album. Obviously, it's the third song up, but it sort of exemplifies what the division was to become among people who thought Oasis had sort of jumped the shark at this point. Clock's in at well over 7 minutes, and a lot of that is just literally throwing everything at a record. There's a bit of a bluegrass sort of jam at the end. There's, I think, an actual kitchen sink is being played as a musical instrument, as in a sort of skiffle style towards the end as well. There's jazz psychedelia, and all sorts. But when you boil it down to the crux of it is a really good song with some of Noel's best lyrics that could be sort of parsed individually. An extraordinary man could never have an ordinary day, which I've found out is something he said to Liam at one point, apparently. When Liam asked him, why did you keep getting in trouble? And Noel turned around and said to him, well, an extraordinary man can never have an ordinary day. One of the other notable things is the Morse code, which they had used it in Do You Know What I Mean? They had used it in Do You Know What I Mean earlier in the record, but it's a bit more prominent in this, I would suggest. Apparently it doesn't mean anything. It was supposed to mean bugger all, like literally the phrase bugger all, but they just messed it up. So it's just random dashes and dots. Just sounds like Morse code. The melody to this throughout, from the verses and the choruses, and then the outro. They all do sort of work well as a sort of just in the song craft of it. As I said, the outro does tend to a wee bit towards overindulgence, but fuck it, you're the biggest band on the planet. Why not throw a random skiffle at the end of your track? As I said, it is divisive. A lot of people actually utterly despise this song, like a lot of Oasis fans. I'm not one of them at all. I actually do quite like hearing this song. There should be a pared down version rather than the 7+ minute album track. I think the YouTube version is maybe a bit more leaned down. When they did start going into the streaming era and releasing songs in streaming, there is obvious occasions where they have cut things back, like the Do You Know What I Mean video. I do remember it being longer, but yeah, they've nearly completed the tour now, and it has been a rip-roaring success, and it has been the story of the summer in pop cultural terms. It was a very bad place for pop culture to be, that a 30-year-old band utterly took over everything. There were every shop window. There were people who I did not know even liked Oasis were wearing Oasis merchandise. There were people quite happily wearing Oasis t-shirts all over the place. Not as many as Nirvana t-shirts. This is a regain of the Nirvana t-shirt phenomenon. Literally around Belfast, every time you go out to town, you'll see 40, 50, 100 people wearing different, unique Nirvana t-shirts. So that's something, anthropologically we should be looking at. Why the two biggest bands at the moment, or why the two biggest pop cultural things at the moment, two bands from the 1990s. Rumours going around about potentially new recordings. Nothing set in stone. Don't know how I feel about that. They have surprised me with the success of the tour, but they did keep the tour playlist to very, very strict. Well, number one, it was very strict throughout. They didn't add any songs or remove any songs or change the order or anything. Every gig, from what I gather, was pretty much the exact same set list. And all the songs, bar one or two, were from the first two albums. I mean, I think there's absolute gems in the later work, as you'll find out as you continue this list, as I get onto it at my own speed. It doesn't suggest that necessarily maybe Noel trusts the creative output of Oasis. The other big news that needs reporting really is that Bonehead has been receiving treatment for cancer. He had to be excused from some of the legs of the gig so he could receive treatment. hopefully it has been caught soon, and hopefully it's not utterly tragic scenario. The Oasis did do a tribute to Ricky Hatton, who also passed away, a boxer from Manchester who they were, personal friends with. While the tour has been a complete triumph, it has not been without tragedy. There's a lot going on. They still managed to keep on ploughing on and perform brilliant shows around the world. Stick around. Number 37 is coming up next.